All right, call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item up on the agenda tonight is a public hearing on the proposed ordinance amending and updating the Horsham Township Home Rule Charter, which was established in 1975.
Yeah, you keep reading.
Okay. So, good evening. We will now call to order a hearing on an ordinance which proposes to place a question regarding proposed amendments to the Horsham Township Home Rule Charter on the ballot to be considered by voters of Horsham Township by referendum at the primary election on May 19th, 2026. The Horsham Township Home Rule Charter was adopted on January 6, 1975, and has never had a full review and update. This hearing has been advertised as required by law. This hearing is not an adjudicative hearing, so no stenographer is present. This hearing is your opportunity to learn about the ordinance and let council know if you have any opinion on the proposed ordinance. I will first ask our township manager, Mr. Gilda Walker, to provide a summary of the ordinance. There will then be an opportunity for comments from council, and then I will ask for public comment. Mr. Gilda Walker, please proceed at this time with the summary of the ordinance.
Thank you. So many people ask, what is home rule? There are different forms of government in Pennsylvania, and Horsham Township is a home rule community at the second class. And home rule is a form of government that gives local governance where we are allowed to adopt a locally drafted charter replacing state level laws with self-governance. And it also acts as our local constitution. Other home rule communities, there's not that many in Montgomery County, but Cheltenham Township, Plymouth Township, the municipality of Norristown, Tower Minson Township, which is very recently, and White Marsh Township. Our charter was adopted on January 6, 1975, and the charter can only be changed by voter referendum. There have been two updates, one in 1998 and one in 2012, and they specifically addressed bidding limits as they changed over time by the General Assembly, and it allowed us to be more efficient with the tax dollars and projects. But we've never done a full review, as mentioned, of the charter. So it's actually this year, last month, was 51 years old, and there's been many federal laws, state laws, case laws that have occurred over that time. So we talked about this in 2024 with the previous council, and we were going to take these steps, and we were going to wanting to do a referendum in May of 25. However, things started move with the base, and the official map and zoning of the base for different reasons took priority and time away from this. So now we are ready to present the ordinance. And it's nothing, there's no splash. There's no, it's kind of housekeeping, what I would call it. But there's 9 different sections that we are recommending to update and amend in the charter. Section 1, in 1975, everything was man, he, his, him, and times have changed now. So Section 1, we would amend council man to council member and provide for non-gender specific pronouns, they, them, their. Section 2 is the new. This is new, and it would impose term limits on council members. And basically what the language says is a council member can serve for 2 consecutive terms. That would be 8 years. And then they have to roll off council. And if they choose, so they had to be off for 4 years, and then they could run for office again. And if they win, they could be on for another 8 years and then roll off. Also, the district justice, that was a actual Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling. The name district justice changed. So we're just amending that. Section 4, aligning the township requirements to advertise proposed ordinance with the current state law. And there's more public notification now, requirements under the state law, than there were in 1975. So this section would just align us with the state laws for public notification and advertisement for ordinances. Section 5 would allow ordinances to become effective immediately upon adoption. Right now, the way our charter reads, that we have to publish it in a local newspaper before it becomes effective. So that's not the way the state law is today, and I think any ordinance that you pass, you would want effective immediately, and that's what most towns have happened to them. Section 6 is just aligning taxes under the state taxing laws. There's been a lot of changes in tax laws since 1975. The state tax law has been modernized. Some taxing has been abolished for local governments over time, so it just aligns us with the state taxing laws. Section 7 just clarifies that voters may petition council for the adoption or reconsideration of any ordinance. And at the very end of this sentence, that's where the change is. So what's been added into the MPC is or any zoning, land use, or subdivision land development. We don't have that in our charter. We have all the other language, but we do not have the zoning, land use, and subdivision development. Section 8 eliminates, so that was also a Supreme Court ruling that the Supreme Court ruled unconstitutional for recall language. So this eliminates our entire section of recalling a council member because we're not allowed to do that anymore. And Section 9 goes back to the pronouns. And that's really it with our update. This ordinance will not amend our charter. Only the voters can do that. So what this ordinance does, it spells out the amendments and the changes, and it has the ballot question built into the ordinance, and we will send that, if you approve it tonight, later in your meeting, we will send that off to the County Board of Elections, and I think we have to do that very soon, in the next day or two. But the primary election's on May 19th, and a certified copy of the ordinance we have to get to the Board of Elections. It says on or prior to the 13th Tuesday before the 2026 primary election, but we did some calculations, and I think it's this Friday that they need it. So it's a tight time frame. Any questions?
So some of the amendments are to align with current state law or the MPC. Are there any other areas being discussed or that you're aware of coming in the future or the near future that we might still be out of alignment with, or is this pretty comprehensive?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't know if John knows of any, but not that I'm aware of.
No, I did look through the current charter and what was proposed, and I didn't note any that should also have been included.
Thank you.
Other council discussion? Are there any public comments? I'll close this hearing. Do I have to hit the gavel again? All right, there being no further questions or comments, this hearing is closed. Council will vote on the proposed ordinance later this evening. I think I did that. Yeah. Here, look at this. Okay.
Great.
All right. Next item up on our agenda is any opportunity for questions or comments from the public. Okay. And then we will move on to the presentation by Revolution Philadelphia, an animal rights organization. We wanted to put that in there to make sure people weren't like
Can we,
you know?
or technical problem, can we just
Oh,
pause a
yeah,
second?
we're
So
gonna pause.
we got to get your PowerPoint, sorry.
You can come up, you will be coming up to the table, and then if you just hit the button that says push, your microphone will be on. And if you want two microphones, I can move the other one.
Good evening. Okay.
There we go.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Carson. I'm a public school teacher and an animal advocate with the animal rights group Revolution Philadelphia. I'm here tonight to respectfully ask you to consider enacting an ordinance to prohibit the retail sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits in Horsham. These ordinances are an important step towards ending the puppy mill pipeline and ensuring that animals in our community are treated humanely. Last year, I had the privilege of working with my own township in West Norriton to pass a similar ban. We passed a thoughtful, collaborative ban that focuses on animal welfare, consumer protection, and supporting responsible local adoption efforts. And I'm here because I believe Horsham has the same opportunity to take a strong stand for animals and for the families in your community. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Ariel Lefkowitz from Humane World for Animals. She will be providing additional information and expertise on how these ordinances work and why they are so important. And we thank you so much for your time and for this opportunity.
All right. Hello, good evening. So yes, as she mentioned, my name is Ariel Lefkowitz. I am a Puppy Mills Policy Specialist with Humane World for Animals, formerly known as the Humane Society of the United States. It's always a mouthful to have to say that whole thing. But if we could go to the next slide, please. What we are asking you to consider tonight is, as she said, an ordinance to prohibit the sale of dogs and cats in pet shops in Horsham. So far as we know, this would be a preventative measure here in Horsham since you don't have any puppy selling pet stores. And the key purpose of ordinances like this is to protect animals and people from the puppy mill to pet shop pipeline. So our organization collects state and federal inspection reports, and we collect certificates of veterinary inspection, which is what is required when pets are being sold across state lines. So this is why we know that, unfortunately, since 2022, there have been thousands of puppies that have been imported into the state of Pennsylvania in order to be sold through pet shops. And so this ordinance would block a major sales outlet for those puppy mills. For the purpose of this conversation, we define puppy mills as breeding facilities where the welfare and the well-being of the animals is placed far below the profits that the breeder is making off of those animals. And so the ordinance, in a nutshell, would prohibit the retail sale of dogs, cats, potentially rabbits, if that's something you would like to include, because although we are the experts on puppy mills, there are also kitten and rabbit mills that other organizations have gathered information on. So this would be an intentionally narrow and proactive measure here to block the retail market here from that industry while keeping it open to the $1 million industry that includes pet services and goods and boarding and training and grooming and the whole thing. Next slide, please. And so this just goes over sort of what I was getting into already, how we define puppy mills, the fact that we know that weeks-old puppies are being trucked across the country to be sold in pet shops in Pennsylvania. There are also commercial breeders here in Pennsylvania that do sell through pet shops and through other locations. But the industry is vast, unfortunately. We have seen over the last 10 or so years that there's been a decrease in the number of dogs being held in these facilities and a decrease in the number of puppies being produced by these facilities. So we do believe that the legislation like this, which has been passed in 8 states across the country, as well as over 500 communities nationwide, including 15 here in Pennsylvania, we believe that that is decreasing the demand for these animals and decreasing the number of animals that are being held in these conditions to begin with. And these are issues that persist despite the federal and state regulations that are in place. I could have a whole separate presentation, unfortunately, on the issues that are present with USDA regulations and the minimal enforcement that happens with that. It is unfortunately a notorious problem. Congress is aware of it, and we are aware of it, and we are working to improve federal regulations, but unfortunately that situation is what it is as of this moment. And so what we are working on through these ordinances, through these state legislation, is working to protect consumers, because we see with these puppy selling pet stores that they're often providing false health guarantees, that they are not always being truthful about where the puppies are coming from. There might be stores that include predatory lending practices with their businesses, so they might partner with a third-party finance company, and maybe that customer gets pushed through the paperwork, or they don't want to read all the fine print, whatever the case may be, but then depending on their credit score, we've seen folks with interest rates upwards of like 120%. And it is something that when you put an ordinance like this in place, those consumer protection issues are no longer a concern, right? Which brings me to the next slide, which just goes into the very straightforward language of the ordinance itself. It shall be unlawful for a retail store to sell or offer a dog or cat or rabbit for sale. This ordinance and the way that we word these ensures that animal rescue organizations, animal shelters can continue to operate, that pet stores can continue to host Adoption Day events with rescue and shelter organizations that they mutually choose to partner with each other. It also ensures that if somebody wants to find a responsible breeder, ethical breeder in this region, they can continue to do so, because we do believe that it is possible to breed responsibly and ethically, and that there are people in this region that are doing so. So this would have no impact on the existing businesses in Horsham. It would allow those animal shelters and rescues to continue their important work, and Horsham would join 15 localities here in Pennsylvania, including most recently Westchester, West Norriton, and Abington. And that's essentially it. I'm happy to answer any questions and get into a little bit of discussion if that's permitted at this point.
Yes. Sorry, I know you said it would take much longer, and I don't need that necessarily, but where it says USDA licensed puppy mills, what does that entail? And I know you're also saying that it's not being properly enforced or monitored.
Right.
What does that look like also?
Sure. So the Animal Welfare Act requires breeders with 5 or more intact females who are selling sight unseen. That means they're selling through a third party. And so the potential buyer, the breeder, and the puppy are not all going to be in the same place at the time of sale. They have to be regulated by the USDA. And so the USDA goes out once a year, or if there are complaints more than that, and inspects these facilities and produces inspection reports. Now, the standards that they have to follow to sort of check these facilities is not written into code, it's not written into regulation. It is sort of, or I should say that a lot of it is basically like a manual. So some of it is like up to the discretion of the inspector to decide if this facility is meeting that citation or violation or what have you. There have also been instances in the past where they would do things called teachable moments. So instead of a potential violation being on your record, it would then just become a teachable moment. So there's no written record of what the issue was. It was just a conversation between the inspector and the facility. when I talk about the lack of enforcement, so there were around 100 inspectors, I believe, before this current administration that were responsible for thousands of facilities. Because they're not just inspecting breeding facilities, they're also inspecting roadside zoos and some research facilities, right? They have a lot of animals under their jurisdiction. And so there are times where there might be lapses in the facilities that are visited, or there might be things like citations that even when they are put in place, there's no meaningful enforcement, meaning there's no significant fines. Animals are not removed from those situations. There have been cases of commercial breeders that were fined multiple times for hundreds of violations, animals in gruesome conditions. And it was only until it reached a threshold that should be unacceptable were those animals removed from that facility. They also rarely revoke or suspend licenses. There are also, unfortunately, like loopholes. So if your license is suspended, you can get a new license under a new name, but it's the same facility, and your record is just clean and you're good to go. So it is a complex and frustrating situation, but there are, federal bills that we are trying to get passed to improve the standards under the Animal Welfare Act, and also trying to enable the Department of Justice to work directly with the USDA because they have much more capacity to enforce the law. But that is sort of what I'm talking about. And I can also email you copies of this because there are links to other sources and fact sheets that would be helpful.
That would be great. And is there, because you said that this would not impact responsible breeders in the area, is there any sort of database of how many there might be in Horsham? Is that searchable by region, or if you're aware?
I'm not fully aware. So I know in the state of Pennsylvania, anyone with over, I think it's 26 dogs, needs to be a registered kennel with the state. There are standards in place that go along with that. And those inspection reports are also available through the state if you know who that breeder is or have their number, and want to look up their inspection report history. And so for anyone with less dogs than that, I'm not sure what the policies in place in Montgomery County or Horsham might be.
Thank you.
So it won't affect it won't affect adoption agencies
Correct.
Like WAGs.
Right.
And it won't affect, if someone has a chocolate lab and it has a litter of puppies and they put a sign out and say, hey, puppies available, you're talking 6 puppies,
Right.
It's not really focused in on that.
It's not focused on breeders. It would still allow adoption agencies, rescues, shelters to operate as they do currently.
Okay.
And yeah, all of that would go undisturbed.
And your focus or is dogs, cats, and rabbits?
Yes.
Did Abington and West Norton, did they do rabbits? Do you remember? They did all 3?
They did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think of the number of general pet stores that we have, like a Petco, PetSmart, that we even have. We don't have any in Horsham. Okay.
No.
So then conceivably
We have in the past, in Blair Mill Village,
you're right.
there was
Yep.
one, but there are not currently.
Yeah, there's no animal sales in Horsham happening currently.
Not of which I am aware.
Okay. So then it conceivably wouldn't be an issue to include something like rabbits too. Right. Wouldn't even be a change. So it would be, as you started your presentation, a proactive measure in Horsham.
And you could proactively add all animal sales if you'd be interested in that. Like, to end the, you know.
Closer to the mic, please.
You need, yep.
They're
you,
working,
Scott.
different organizations are working on ending all animal sales in pet stores, so that's something if you would be open to, like reptiles and birds, and because those animals suffer just as much in the transport and the breeding and taking from wild, so that, whatever you are open to.
Has that gotten pushback in other communities?
I know in Easton, a similar ban it was enacted, and they agreed to end all animal sales except for fish. Yeah.
And that, I would just add on to that, that in townships or cities where there are Petco's, PetSmarts, those companies do sell multiple animals, as I'm sure you know, guinea pigs, birds, and an ordinance affecting that would receive significant pushback from those companies, yes.
Would it receive pushback if they're not currently operating in our borders?
As far as we've seen, no.
Okay.
And the state laws a few years back, I know they had those puppy mill laws, and it was all over the news and social media. None of them address this detail. Those are just really on the puppy mills.
So in the state of Pennsylvania, you mean? So there is Victoria's law is what it's coined, and it has been reintroduced this session. So that is the same thing at the state level. Would stop the sale of dogs and cats in pet stores. It has not been successful in being voted through at the state level.
Okay.
As of today. So
Okay.
as
Gotcha.
of this moment, yeah.
Okay.
Who are the 8 states that have passed it?
So New York, New York, Maine, Vermont, Maryland, Illinois, California, Washington, and Oregon. Yeah.
And so an ordinance like this goes into the zoning ordinances, John? Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be the easiest place to put it, because it is a control on a use, not the entirety of the use of the store. So obviously, you're still allowing a pet store, but it would put the language that was shown, it would just sort of put a nuance.
Put a nuance into to the excluded uses of a pet store.
And just for your awareness and knowledge, we are in the process of doing a full zoning rewrite in Horsham. Now, that is a bit of a protracted process. It will be probably like 2 years start to finish to get everything fully rewritten. But that said, we are also fast tracking some ordinances that are that we've seen before us, that we've discussed as important, something like a noise ordinance, for example. So it could be conceivable that maybe something like this can also be adopted sooner than the full zoning rewrite.
Yes.
And it seems like there's other townships, like you already provided some language, so that also is very, very helpful.
Yes. So we have, if I may, we have model language that we can share, and can also share the language from Westchester and other cities, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I think that would be very helpful.
So is that just checking, it's not a vote, but just direction of council to draft a zoning ordinance for you to review?
I mean, I think that everyone should have an opinion on that, but I would be open to it personally. If others agree, I would say that could be a
Yes.
direction.
Same? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of animal enthusiasts behind the dais here, so yeah. Thank you so much for coming out and for such a robust and informative presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, do you want a picture? Oh, okay. Yes, if you don't mind, can we get your picture with council?
Take one more step.
Okay. Next item up, we have approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Oh, do I have to read the list?
What's that? No.
Second.
Oh, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Ayes have it. Okay. Treasurer's report.
Balance in the general fund as of January 31st, 2026 is $4,191,999.67. Expenditures in the general fund reflect normal activity for January. The winter has not been easy on our public works nor our budget. With another 2 months to go, we continue to monitor our snow and ice expenditures in our budget. For a more detailed presentation of our current financial position, I would refer you to your monthly booklet.
Next up, we have the approval of the list of checks. Mr. Gildo Walker, would you like to say anything on that?
It is a large amount this month. About $3 million is your general list of checks, and that actually equates to about 5 checks for the purchase of the McKean Road property, our participation in the Eastern Montgomery interchange group for the Turnpike interchanges, engineering and construction inspection for all of our transportation projects, as well as construction for Blair Mill Road Phase 2. And the biggest one is a escrow release for $1.5 million for Select Soccer on Keith Valley Road. So just those 5 total almost $2.5 million of your $3 million. So it is a unique month of expenditures, but most of them unrelated to just normal operating expenses.
I move to approve the list of checks in all funds from January 23rd, 2025 to February 11th, 2026 in the amount of $3,078,220.87 and further move to authorize payment of same. I move to ratify the U.S. Bank credit card transactions for the month of January 2026 in the amount of $12,415.08 and further move to authorize payment of same.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Next item up is to consider a resolution honoring Black History Month.
So this resolution in your packet this evening is honoring Black History Month in Horsham Township and celebrating that in Horsham Township. One thing that the last few years that has been done in our community is the Black History Month concert at the Happel Horsham High School. It's presented by the music department, but sponsored by the Education Foundation. It's free and open to the public. It's Wednesday, February 18th. New this year is prior to the concert, which starts at 6:30 p.m., they are having a Black Business Owners Showcase in the lobby of the auditorium at the high school from 5 o'clock to 6:30. So that is new this year and pretty exciting. We do in Horsham and Hatboro, but I know I'm more familiar with the ones in Horsham. We do have a number of Black business owners in Horsham, and we're happy that they are here, and we want to recognize them and as members of our community and all that they do in the community. So that's new this year, and excited to see them. This concert in the past has been well attended. So hopefully it'll be well attended, and hopefully some people can come a little early to see the businesses.
I just wanted to take a moment to commend the Horsham Township Council for taking the meaningful step of enacting its first ever resolution honoring Black History Month. It is a point of genuine pride to see our newly elected council lead with compassion, inclusivity, and a deep appreciation for the diverse voices that make Horsham such a remarkable place to live and work. And I think that this action reflects a positive shift toward representing all residents, and it demonstrates the thoughtful, community-centered leaderships that strengthen our township and sets a standard for the future.
And I also wanted to add, this is the 100th year anniversary of Black History Month, which was originally a week-long celebration. I was surprised to learn that we had not had a resolution in the past to honor Black History Month, and I'm proud to be a part of enacting that tonight with support of council. So thank you for the opportunity.
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed honoring Black History Month.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Yes, sir.
Nope, this is a roll call vote.
Mr. McCarty, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dr. Patterson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Thompson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
The next item on our agenda is to consider an ordinance amending and updating the Horsham Township Home Rule Charter.
I move to adopt the ordinance as proposed, amending and updating the Horsham Township Home Rule Charter.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. This is also a roll call vote.
Mr. McCarty, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dr. Patterson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Thompson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next up, we have to authorize the solicitation of the following bids for the demolition of structures on the property at 234 McKean Road.
So as council knows, on Monday, we made settlement on this property. This is the property here. This is McKean Road. This is the 90-degree turn curve on McKean Road. This is Limekill Pike. The soccer fields are down here. So you come down McKean Road. These historically have always flooded during tropical storms and hurricanes. The creek runs through here and comes around here. So it's a heavily flooded area. This entire property is in the floodplain. When we had Tropical Storm Ida, which included a hurricane and tornado, hit us in September of 2021, this house was extremely flooded again. The family moved out and has never been back since. We've been working with them and PEMA and FEMA. We put this property in the FEMA buyout program, and we just made settlement this past Monday. So we are the owners of this property. There's a house and a detached garage that need to be removed from the property. That's what you're doing tonight, is to solicit bids to have those structures demolished. And then we will let this property go back to its natural state. It's entirely in the floodplain. You really can't, although our agreement and deed restriction with FEMA, it can be used for passive recreation. It is landlocked, private properties all around. There's a national pipeline that comes across here. So there is not much to do except let it go back to its natural state. The property would never be allowed to be built with today's ordinances, the house. So we're just going to let it go back. We're not going to mow the grass or anything. We're just going to let it go back to its natural state and habitat and what it should be. It's an environmental resource, and we did not have to pay for anything for the property, by the way. It was all paid for. We get the money from FEMA, and then we pay the property owner. Same thing with the demolition. So we'll be looking at this property a little bit closer. This is a house here, too, that is heavily impacted. It's vacant right now, but this house, too, gets hit very hard in tropical storms and hurricanes. So many of us that live here know McKean Road is one of the roads that always get closed during heavy rainstorms. So that happened, and what you're doing tonight, again, is just allowing us to go out to bid for the demolition of the structures.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move to authorize the solicitation of bids for demolition of structures on the property at 234 McKean Road and further authorize advertisement of same.
Second.
And seconded, this is a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. So next up, we will announce that the next Horsham Township Council meeting will be held on Wednesday, February 25th at 6 p.m. Also, mark your calendars. Horsham Farmers Market is this Sunday, February 15th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Horsham Township Library. Hopefully no snow for this one. The Read Local Author Showcase will be on Saturday, February 28th at the Horsham Township Library from 2 to 4. And Horsham Day is Saturday, June 6th with a rain date on June 7th. Being adjourned.